thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to another episode of this freaking show. The weekly podcast with a little bit of something and a whole lot of nothing. I am your host, Travis D, and with me, as always,
Awkward Colin.
And Geekcast Joe.
So, how, in your opinion, how was your time at Indiana Comic Con?
It was great. I had a great time at Indie Comic Con this last weekend.
I did too. I did.
How about you guys?
Oh, I had a blast. I get what I understand now what you're saying about it being kind of small.
Yeah, they're still trying to get their feet under them. I think this was only their third year.
Well, it's
so.
like, and that's one of the one thing I did like about it is that even though like the convention itself or whatever the convention itself was kind of small, like it didn't have a lot of vendors as like C2E2 did, but it had so many like Q&As and stuff like that you were able to be involved in, and that's what I guess we did most of the time on Saturday was going to these Q&As and stuff like that. I can't remember
panels.
The panels and stuff like that.
Yeah, and those were surprisingly good. I've never actually gone to many of those before, and so actually being there from the beginning for 3 different panels was it was a new experience for me, and it was something I think I'd like to repeat in the future.
Well, it's like I was telling Colin. It's like I'm glad that those were entertaining because to drive all the way out to Indianapolis and do nothing but walk around the convention itself, it wouldn't have been worth it. And that's the one thing I was worried about. I was like, we took this 3-hour drive out here to walk around something that takes an hour and a half to do, just to drive 3 hours back.
Right.
So it was nice that they had those panels with I can't remember the guy's name, but one of the guys from Star Trek was there.
Brett Spiner.
Yeah.
Spiner.
Yeah. Davis from Lord of the Rings.
John Reese.
Yeah, John Rhys Davies.
I think he had the most people walk out.
He was definitely a character to begin.
Yeah, a lot of people walked out on that one.
And that's the
That
thing
was
too.
really weird.
It's like after he got through his introduction with, I think his intro was kind of confusing for me because it sounded really political, and it basically like it sounded to me he was implying that he encourages the idea of destroying half the population.
Yeah, of like third world countries. Is what it kind of sounded like.
Because what did he say? He's like,
I'm not feeling like much of a dwarf today. Today I feel like more of a silverback gorilla.
I think one of the things that
all right, man.
One of the things that he said that imprinted in my mind that I really didn't think about, I think he said like the top 170 richest people in the world have more money than the bottom like 13.1 billion. Or not 13.1, like 2.1 billion people.
Yeah,
something like that.
It was a high number.
Yeah, that really baffled me. I was like, and I know like the richest people in the world have a lot of fucking money, but to exceed 2.1 billion other people is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, and that was the biggest problem because like the first 20 minutes of his talk was like a college lecture. It's like I was trying to figure out where I'd go to drop the class when I was in there.
I was thoroughly enjoying it.
Lots of people left and went to go like drink beer on the commons.
Well, and that's the thing I like too is like because when like the mass majority walked out, like the final group walked out, that's when it turned around and he became more entertaining, more funny. We talked about Lord of the Rings. Some idiot asked a political question.
Oh yeah, what a moron!
Mm-hmm.
But how well handled it was,
he did a great job.
Yeah. Oh, and then they had the voice actors came on. They did a reading from Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
Amazing. Yeah. Here's I think the quote. He was, the world's 85 richest individuals have as much money together as 3.5 billion poorest people in the world. So they got more money than more than half of the bottom half of the population.
Okay. Yeah, that's just
So,
that's just
Yeah,
that's just
it's baffling.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and to put that in perspective, because I like doing this now that I've learned how to do it. Uh, sorry. Whew. Calm down, Joe. There are about 1,000 seconds in 15 minutes, and there are about 1,000,000 seconds in a week, and about 1,000,000,000 seconds in 35 years. To give you like that, that's how I think of scale now, because I can't imagine numbers that big that easily. But like I've been alive for 25 years, so like add 10 more years to that, and that's 1,000,000,000 seconds.
yeah. Yeah.
So, Travis, you've been muted. Why are you muted?
Oh, I was just looking at something real quick, and I was worried that my coughing would interfere with
Oh,
it.
okay.
Oh, another cough attack, eh?
It's one
Fair
of those weird
enough.
things, and I can be honest with people. During my whole quit smoking thing, I had a minor hiccup a few weeks ago where I did indulge in an entire pack of cigarettes, and after quitting again, I'm back into that real phase where like everything's being coughed back up. So if I and another thing that's kind of weird that I didn't realize until Indiana Comic Con is that if I sneeze once, it's gonna be excessive for like two, three, maybe four of them, and I don't know why.
Oh, yikes.
So if I feel like something like that's gonna happen, I'm gonna mute myself real quick just to prevent that from being on
Fair
the show
enough.
recorded.
You're allergic to political discussion, is what it sounds like to
I
me.
thought I was allergic to Indiana, and I think I scared the fucking dude at the door
The attendant.
when me and Colin went into the Star Trek dude's talk, and I started sneezing. I wanted to go outside, and just to get out of my system, get it done, and go out of the way. Well, I was heading towards the entrance of the room instead of going towards the exit. And I was sneezing, and for some reason the guy asked me, he's like, "Oh, are you allergic to the room?" And I'm like, "What? No, no, I gotta sneeze. I'm just gonna go outside and sneeze real quick, so I'm not interrupting the guy and everything." He's like, "Oh, well, we gotta go to the exit." And I look across the hall, across the room, see the exit. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go out here." Oh, you gotta go to the exit. I'm like, "You know what? No, I'm gonna go out here. I'll be right back in and everything." And he just looked like he wanted to establish dominance, and it just wasn't working out. So,
Oh, that's hilarious.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it was a good show and everything, or a good it was a good convention. I had a
Yeah.
blast doing it. Driving out there and driving home were definitely worth it.
Nice.
I'm excited for Indie PopCon, which I believe is in the same location, but I do believe
Yep.
we'll
Yeah,
be
it
in a
is.
hotel. We'll be getting a hotel for that one.
Nice.
And
Yeah. Yeah, those panels were something. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead and finish.
No,
And then,
it's something I've never really done before. Like I said, and I got to say the biggest advantage is like you go to them and worst case scenario now you've got something to talk with Jack Gleason about when you run into him at the Clatta over there on whatever avenue it's on. So it's kind of cool.
yeah. Well, like when we were sitting there listening to him talk and everything, I actually YouTubed his death scene in Game of Thrones because I never seen it.
Mm.
So that was definitely an intense death he went through. But I also saw that it said that he retired from acting.
Yeah, he's done with Hollywood for now.
But he does, like, I forgot, didn't he say he does, like, the Broadway? Or not
Yeah, he's got
Broadway.
like a theater troupe in England or Ireland, but that's what he said anyway. But yeah, as far as like, so I don't know. I mean, he could change his mind. He's only 23.
Yeah,
So
that's one of the things he said. Like he just said like he was just done with it completely. I mean, I don't think anyone's really done with it. I mean, he even said to himself, he wouldn't be opposed to like coming back as like a small role as like a waiter on Game of Thrones or like a flashback or something.
right, exactly.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I had no idea who he was until like we went there. I was under the impression he was like the son of Jackie Gleason, or grandson of Jackie Gleason, the guy
Oh,
from like was it the Honeymooners?
yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so I was like, but after he spoke, I realized no, he's not. It's just a coincidence.
Yep.
But oh, speaking of indie popcorn, what I want to get at with it is I found out, and I think I told Colin, and I'm not sure if I told you yet, Joey, but there is going to be a wrestling show Saturday of indie popcorn.
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
It's going to be at the convention.
No kidding.
It's an independent wrestling company that's bringing in some like old wrestling legends, a couple tag teams and single wrestlers and stuff, and they're going to put on a show there. And my goal is to have us go and do that too because I love wrestling, and I think it'd be fun.
Nice.
And also, that's going to be at Indie PopCon, which is also exciting. And just kind of give everyone a heads up what's going on. Our show it's going to be actually about a month and a half from now, the week of June 6th, we are actually going to interview a cosplayer that will be at Indie PopCon, Super Casey.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
We actually saw her at Comic-Con.
Yeah, she was actually at C2E2 as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it comes to find out that unfortunately for Colin, Sunday she dressed up as Squirrel Girl.
Huh. Nice.
Yeah. But hey, I got a picture with the Squirrel Girl.
He got a picture with a Squirrel Girl.
I did. I was happy.
Yeah, which unfortunately was the only picture we got from the event because we...
Well, we got more. It's just that was the more only stand-up one.
Yeah. The only normally took one. Hey, Coops.
I was just taking all the pictures from sitting down at the table pretty much. So I'll weed that through those and put them up on the page if you'd like to look at them.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh.
Should be good.
Yeah. All right, let's get through this segment of freaking question, and then we will get to our guest for the evening. How about that?
Sounds amazing.
Awesome. Okay, so this is a two-part question that comes from two different individuals. The first part of this comes from Joe Swanson, previous guest from our show, not the handicapped cripple from the animated Family Guy. Second part comes from Dwight, or DJ, actually, he doesn't like being called Dwight, but DJ. He was supposed to be on our show to talk about the WrestleMania, and unfortunately, the technical difficulty couldn't be overpassed or whatever, so he couldn't get on. But they both came up with a pretty similar question, so I'm going to merge them together as a two-parter so we can answer that.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
ready.
And I guess now that I'm reading Joey's, I guess it's going to be a three-part question. Really easy, though. All right, so Joe says, were you happy with how Deadpool turned out? Any upcoming thoughts on heroes that need movies or heroes that would never see another movie, or you would never see another movie of? So, how did you feel about Deadpool? What superhero should have a movie but doesn't, or somebody who has one and shouldn't have another one? And the other part to that is, can DC bounce back with Suicide Squad, especially after what happened with Batman vs Superman?
Man.
Yeah. Joey, why don't you take the first answer?
Deadpool was amazing. It was really, really well done, and I was very impressed with it. Let's see. Who am I missing? Oh, I know. I don't think anyone's been announced yet, but the idea of a Miss Marvel movie gets me really excited. Katie Sackhoff, by the way, is my choice of Miss Marvel for that role. Let's see. Someone who I would never want to see again. At this point, Superman. I'm tired of Superman. I'm ready for him to not.
Superman.
Yeah, like it's not like I have a problem with Superman. It's just that I feel oversaturated with Superman. I want to see. I actually can't wait for the Wonder Woman movie. I'm more excited for that than I've been for any of the last few Superman movies. What was the last question?
Do you feel that DC could bounce back with Suicide Squad compared to what happened with Batman vs Superman?
I think that is an insane question because Batman vs Superman broke almost every box office record that has been set by Marvel. Even though it got horrible reviews, it made more money than any other movie has ever made, and that's insane to me. So I don't know that there's anything to bounce back from. Now
I
that
think
being said,
I think when he meant bounce back, like get better reviews or
yeah,
show that DC has a better chance of coming back from how crappy it was.
that's fair. No, I wasn't calling him insane for asking it. I'm just like, to me, like I'm thinking about it with the numbers and stuff, and it's crazy. But I will say, after the reviews from Batman versus Superman, they went and they remade parts of Suicide Squad to try to make it more lighthearted and campy. And I think that that's going to bite them in the ass. I think they should have made the movie that they made and released it without any apologies. So I think the answer is yes. It will affect how they do Suicide Squad because they I think they're going to be less likely to be able to bounce back because they decided, oh no, people didn't like what we made, and I think it's going to screw them up. I think the Suicide Squad movie that they originally planned for would have been perfect, and that's my. Today is Monday, May 2nd, and you can say that I'm freaking calling it.
So now I didn't read or look too much into what they were saying as far as redoing some of the scenes. Were they going for more Deadpool humor or more DC Marvel humor?
I think it was more Deadpool humor in the first place, where it was like very dark and gritty and more in the same style as Batman versus Superman, which I got to be honest with you, I don't have a problem with the style of that movie. I just think the movie was not well paced. They tried to cram 10 gallons worth of stuff in a 5-gallon bucket of a film and just couldn't do it. And I think people were like, I don't really know what's wrong with this, but it was really dark, so I'm going to go with that. And so I think that's what DC heard. Instead of hearing, oh, we need to make a good movie, what they heard was, oh, we need to make a campier movie like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong. I think DC should have dark and realistic and scary, frightening villains like they probably had in the first place.
Yeah.
But I'll step off my soapbox and let you guys.
I think one of my favorite DC movie, the way they depict the villain, was probably when Batman Returns, when they depicted Penguin.
Yeah.
Because that was, I mean, I think they did perfect on that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Batman and Batman and Robin with Mr. Freeze?
Mm-hmm.
That was just fucking goofy. That was really goofy to me.
Mm-hmm.
With Schwarzenegger?
Yeah. But what
That
they
also
did
had
with
the Riddler, didn't it?
Batman and Robin. No, Batman Forever had the Riddler. Riddler and Two-Face.
Oh,
Batman
okay.
Robin had Bane, Poison Ivy, and Mr. Freeze.
Gotcha.
Batman Returns had Catwoman and Penguin, right? Yeah. But I mean, like the way they did those villains were perfect because they were dark and like, I mean, it was fucking creepy, and that's what they should stick with. I'm hoping they didn't do too much like goofy DC humor because I think that would screw up what everyone was anticipating with Suicide Squad.
Yep.
Colin, what's your answer?
You're gonna have to repeat the questions.
How did you feel about Deadpool?
Okay.
What DC hero or what superhero, DC, Marvel, whatever, should get a movie, or if one has got a movie, shouldn't get another movie? And do you think that based on how everyone reacted to Batman Superman, would they have a better reaction to Suicide Squad?
Suicide Squad, or not Suicide Squad? Deadpool. The first one, Deadpool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious movie. It was very well done, and I would go see it again if it was in theaters, and if I had the time, but I will probably buy it when it comes out because I found that very, very humorous, very well. As far as movies that they need to just stop making characters, I would say Batman, because like I said before, I think Batman's just a little bitch. um, so that would be the one that I would say to stop making movies on. And then what was the last one? Oh, with the Suicide Squad and Batman versus Superman.
Yeah. Can Suicide Squad help DC kind of
I
claim
think
back some
so.
glory?
Hearing Joe say that they made it a little, you said lighter.
Yeah, I guess they're making it. They went back and they made some of the scenes a little bit more lighthearted.
If I think I definitely agree that will definitely fuck them over because you want to have they're villains. You want to have a darker side, not a lighthearted side.
Right.
I mean, they've murdered people.
Right. Some of them for fun.
Yeah, I mean, but if you turn around and say, "Oh, look at me, I'm a happy comedian," that's
Right.
just fucking stupid.
Absolutely.
But
Totally agree.
yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. On to you, Travis.
I absolutely love Deadpool. I think the rated R path that they took was the right path to do because I was getting tired of PG-13. When people died in Deadpool, you knew they died.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
for sure.
So that was pretty cool. As far as heroes getting movies, I think they're pretty much already doing it with. I think Black Panther's supposed to get a movie, and Miss Marvel's gonna get a movie. When you get the TV shows like Iron Fist and Luke Cage, they're getting their moment. The one I would pick to stop would be Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about him too.
Yeah, I could do that.
And the only reason is because like I never saw a Superman movie before, so I don't know how they are. But if I had to look at Superman movies I know compared to the Spider-Man movies I know, I think there's been more Spider-Mans than Supermans. I could be wrong, but it seems like because there's been I think this will be like the sixth Spider-Man movie in like the last decade.
Correct.
So I think when it comes to Spider-Man, I think they're just done because I think Fox wants to try to make it perfect, and it's already failed twice to their perfection. That they want to try again.
Well, they what ended up happening now is they've actually Sony owns the property, and they've made a deal with Marvel, where Spider-Man can be in the Avengers film that's coming up.
Yeah, but I mean, to what extent? I mean, like after that, how far can he go into the Disney Marvel universe? You know,
I have no idea. But that's the only reason he was rebooted was because he gets to join the Marvel universe now. And so they're going to do another. See, my problem is I'm tired of reboot movies. Like, oh, gee, what's his backstory? Did his Uncle Ben die and then he got bitten by a radioactive spider?
Yeah.
Like, we all know how Spider-Man was created. Give me something interesting and new.
Yeah, I mean the only difference I know from the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and the reboot that last came out was with Tobey Maguire, his webs came out of his body itself, to where with the other one it was a mechanical attachment, right, or some shit like that.
Yeah, it was more like, I mean, and it was the Amazing Spider-Man. So they were two different iterations of the character, which was cool.
Yeah, but
I actually
I mean,
really liked Andrew Garfield's way he played the character.
Yeah, I mean, like you say like one is Spider-Man, one's the Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, like it's like comparing Christian Bale's Batman to
George Clooney,
George Clooney's or
Michael Keaton.
Keaton and the Val
Right? No,
Kilmer's.
totally.
Batman's Batman, just like Spider-Man. Even if you tweak one thing about it, Stan Lee's gonna fucking end up in the show. It's
no matter who owns the property, too.
exactly.
Even if it's a DC.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
I would love for him to show up in a DC movie.
that would have been so great.
I want him to play like a confused old man, like walking down the street of a DC movie, like this ain't where I'm supposed to be, and then just walks off. This ain't my stop.
That'd be great.
I think that would be a knock against DC though.
Probably.
But yeah, I mean it's, and I think Suicide Squad shouldn't have redone what they did because it's showing a lack of confidence they have in their movie, which is showing me that maybe it's not a good movie.
Right?
It's like, I mean, like I'm sure it is gonna be good, but if you had to sit there and say like, oh, we did this movie, it's perfect, here's a promo for it, and all of a sudden a movie comes out like, well, maybe we should change a couple of things. it's like now you're not being true to your original, vision. You're just trying to alter shit to kind of resemble what's already out there. I think other people are gonna feel that way too. Not I'm not saying everyone will, but I'm saying a small select few people are gonna feel the same way, and
Yeah.
they're going to go into the movie, with that negative attitude already because of it. Like, okay, well, now they're gonna see some goofy ass, scene happen, and they're gonna think, I bet the original was better. I bet what they had to begin with was perfect, and they just screwed it up with this.
Right. Absolutely.
I can see that.
Yeah, but I think it will be, a boost. I think people will see it more positively, and I think they will see it in a positive manner just because of the Batman Superman thing not doing so well, opinion
Right.
wise, not
Well, and
financially.
I think more people were looking forward to the Suicide Squad anyway. So,
Yeah, well, people like villains. They like bad guys.
right. They're more relatable, especially in the DC universe where all of the heroes are the frickin' Ubermensch and like are perfect in every way and basically immortal and blah 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 blah.
Well, it's like, and that's why people like Iron Man. Like, people don't like Iron Man because he's a good guy. People like Iron Man because he sleeps with a bunch of fucking random women and gets drunk.
Right.
People are
Right.
tired. People are tired of goody goody people. I mean, like, and granted, Captain America is always going to be like a top favorite, regardless of him being a goody goody. But when you look at Winter Soldier, and now you're looking at Civil War, it's like he's not always that good guy. He's going to do what he believes is right, even if it means it's wrong in everyone else's eyes.
Right.
That's what
Absolutely.
people are starting like, and that's what people are going to start liking him more.
Right. Totally agree.
But yeah, DJ Joe, thank you for those questions. If you guys have any more questions, just let us know. Write us a Facebook, whatever it's called now. What's it called? Write on our Facebook wall.
Yeah. Right on our
That
Facebook
is-
wall,
Yeah, leave
page,
us a
whatever.
Yeah, write us something on the Facebook page. Send us a tweet. You could use Twitter. Use hashtag Freakin Saying. Leave us a question. We'll answer it, and we'll say your name throughout the entire thing while we answer it.
Yeah.
John Doe asked this. Well, John Doe, let me tell you something about this John Doe. Thank you, John Doe. Whatever. If your name's John Doe,
What about Jane Doe?
I'll still say
Yeah.
John.
So he'll just insult her.
I don't know. What if Jane is a male's name? Because, he recognizes himself as a male.
Or he's in Firefly.
Or he's in Firefly.
Pretty sure it's Jane.
Could be Jane. I don't know. Maybe it's Kelly. I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
Travis has no idea.
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. What's Firefly? Is that a movie? TV show?
It's
Is
a
it
TV
book?
show that was on Fox and it was canceled after one season, and everybody thinks it's like the height of television.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I didn't. I don't care if it comes back. Other people are like, we need it to come back. Someone get Netflix on this, and I'm just like, let Netflix go home.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hear we have a guest tonight.
We do. I just ran out of rum and coke, so I'm gonna fill up this rum and coke, and then we'll come back to our guest.
Perfect.
Perfect. So why don't we take this time to plug a podcast? Because we haven't done that in a while.
True.
That's true. We haven't.
So check
I would
out.
really like to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
What we really like to do.
Take a note about the time currently, but my pen just exploded.
Oh, gee.
Oh, well, while I get a new rum and coke, Joey gets a pen. Listen to the promo from a podcast that we all love.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jason.
And I'm Jeff. We're from the History of Bad Ideas podcast.
You know what you're listening to right now, Jeff?
What are we listening to right now?
This freaking show.
This freaking show?
This freaking show. And when you're not listening to this freaking show, take a listen to the History of Bad Ideas.
Where we talk about sports
Movies
and other pop culture events happening.
in the world. So take a listen. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, and any other place that you find great podcasts like this freaking show.
This freaking show.
Hi, everybody. We are now with our guest for the evening. So without any further ado, I want to introduce you to CJ Standel.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on the program.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Yes, welcome.
glad
Yeah.
glad to have you here. Why don't you just kind of give the listeners an idea of who you are?
All right, so my name is CJ Standel. That's actually a pen name. I'm actually a high school English teacher, also in my other job. Before I published Rebirth of the Gangster, which is my first comic, I've done some small writing just for like Slant magazine, which is now defunct. And so Rebirth of the Gangster, which the first issue was just released about a month ago, is my first comic book work. I've loved comic books since growing up. I'm 30 years old, and so like essentially since I was like 6 years old, I've been reading comics. My parents got me a 30 issue X-Men gift box for Christmas, and I always tell the story where if they knew what they were sucking me into, they probably would have just got me clothes or something like that. So it's just been a fun passion, comic books, and I finally kind of got that motivation to just do something with it. I've had some ideas that were kind of rattling around in my head for the last couple years, but finally, about a year ago, I really started plotting out Rebirth of the Gangster. I have like the whole series outlined and plotted out and all that. And then the first script I started working on last fall, and eventually hooked up with Juan Romero, this great, incredible indie artist of 10 years. And kind of the rest is history. We released our first issue like I said, about a month ago, and right now we're actually running a Kickstarter for the second issue. It has about 12. It has 12 days left, so it's or like 12 and a half, because technically, I guess it's May 15th is the last date that it runs. And it actually about an hour before this got fully funded. So
Congratulations.
the last 12 days, whatever
Yeah,
donations I get
congrats.
will be just gravy. Thank you again. Yeah, it's a great thing to hear. I mean, especially since I've never run a Kickstarter, never done anything like that before. It was a little nerve wracking, and so it's really nice to get it done with plenty of time left. And so that money itself is actually being raised to fund the second issue, which should be coming out in about a month or two, kind of depending on how long it's going to take Juan to illustrate it, because essentially I had the second issue, the script already written by the time the Kickstarter started, and I was just waiting on that money to really pay Juan. I didn't want to make him do work for no money. I don't want him to be a starving artist kind of thing. And
Which
so
makes
that's kind of
sense.
where I'm at. I guess for those of your listeners who don't really know much about Rebirth of the Gangster, it's essentially a crime thriller, a noir. I like to think of it kind of as like Breaking Bad meets The Wire meets Othello, where essentially two sons are sucked into life of crime as they deal with kind of family legacies and a murder as old as themselves. So there are a lot of twists and turns, a lot of kind of issues of class, race, family, all that stuff. I'm pretty much throwing in everything I've got, everything that I've been kind of thinking about while I've been teaching and reading the last like 10 years. I mean, I mentioned those TV show and Othello influences, but I'm also hugely influenced by like 100 Bullets, Criminal, stuff like that.
Wow.
Sorry, yeah. Once you get me rolling,
No worries.
No, it's fine, man. You're making the interview process a lot easier. So where's your inspiration, or where did you get the idea for this comic?
What was the inspiration for the comic? I
Yeah,
mean, I guess there
yeah.
are many. There are a lot of things that are the inspiration. It actually kind of started with I wrote this poem that was intended to be like the beginning of a book, and kind of the more I thought about that poem, the more I realized it was really something I wanted to, and the story that the book was going to be, I wanted to make it a comic. But I guess as far as like the seeds that led to the poem and the book that eventually turned into the comic, a lot of it has to do with just I think just stuff we've been seeing in the country the last 10 years, a lot of like the Black Lives Matter, the racial divide, and kind of police brutality we've been seeing. A lot of the class issues are like inspired by the 1%, Occupy Wall Street, that type of like conflict. And I guess if we're looking at again direct influences, I mentioned the Breaking Bad, The Wire, Othello, but actually I've mentioned that I'm an English teacher, and I've taught To Kill a Mockingbird for the last 6 years. I've taught Macbeth. I've taught a bunch of stuff that thematically dovetails into that inspired partially Rebirth of the Gangster. Essentially, it was me teaching To Kill a Mockingbird and seeing kids get excited about these issues, but not really excited by the story itself. So I kind of decided to like take these issues, which I'm also extraordinarily passionate about, these issues of class, race, gender, all that type of stuff, and kind of try to make it a little more, bring it a little more up to date, and create something that I would hope my students would love to read, not just on like the idea issue level, but also on the plot level. Because I'll be honest that trying to drag them through To Kill a Mockingbird is really, really hard, just because it's moved so slowly. So I think that's thematically the inspiration was kind of from those books and from the, I guess, the greed, the power aspect of Macbeth. But I was looking for something that would have a lot of twists and turns that would keep the plot just moving along and just kind of sucking anybody, even my high school students who are normally not into reading or doing anything like that.
That's awesome. I'm sitting here. I'm looking at your Kickstarter page, which I didn't know existed till just now. You have got a lot of stuff going on here, and I am really impressed.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I notice your location says here it's Madison, Wisconsin. Is that part of why you chose a Hmong American slant, or is that like, just something that's interesting to you personally, or?
Yeah, I mean, so part of it is just it's the Hmong population in Madison and Wisconsin is pretty big. I'm actually also originally I grew up in Minnesota, and the Hmong population there is even bigger. So I think part of it was just me trying to work in what I knew and see. And I mean, I feel just that, especially that we talk a lot about these issues of race, and it normally gets broken down into a black versus white kind of thing, and then we tend to overlook other people. And just kind of by way to illustrate that, again, I mentioned I'm a teacher, and in our faculty meetings and all that type of stuff, we tend to always focus on the achievement gap and between white students and black students, and the behavior issues, specifically mainly with black students. And that kind of, as those years have gone by teaching and kind of getting the same message hammered in over and over in my head, I've also noticed that sometimes some of my Hmong students, some of my Latino students, they struggle pretty heavily. For whatever reasons, not all of them, of course, but I would say just on the level, some of these other groups of students we're trying to help, and kind of through conversations with teachers, we kind of got to came to this conclusion that we just don't really, we tend to kind of overlook those groups just because they don't cause huge behavior problems. So they end up being almost invisible in a way, just because they maybe aren't doing as well academically, but because they're not throwing chairs around or whatever, or yelling at me and cussing me out, we tend to kind of not focus too heavily on them, even though they're just as part of our nation, just as a big part of our school and our classes and all that stuff. So kind of
absolutely.
I wanted to bring in that side of the story, and just give, I mean, as much as I can give Hmong Americans, and just give other groups of people, Latinos, a voice that maybe is getting lost in this other bigger debate about race and class and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. I went on Amazon and I searched this, and right now, at least for me, the Kindle price on Amazon, it's free, so I was able to pick it up on my iPad. So I might be reading that while we're talking.
Perfect. Well, I was that type of student. I'd be reading while the teacher was teaching, so I get it.
Oh, totally. Same here.
Yeah. Well,
sorry, what was that?
Go on. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you mentioned it was on Amazon on sale free. It's actually on sale till tomorrow free. It's part of the 5-day KDP free giveaway program. They have that in the countdown. I mean, I just the price countdown where they discount it, and I just chose.
Oh, gotcha.
Trying to get more people interested in the Kickstarter to release it free, and hopefully get people reading it and interested, and then kind of filtering back into the Kickstarter, which at least looks like it kind of worked if the goal is all met and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I actually picked up the comic. Well, I actually read the comic when we originally started talking about a month or so ago. I think you had it free somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I actually read it then, and I kind of read it again today when I saw that it was available on Amazon. And I like how it starts off with the first sentence saying, "I was born out of darkness into light."
Yeah, thank you. It was definitely the first thing that was written for that poem I mentioned earlier, for the comic itself. It's kind of, I guess I talked about all these other issues. I guess another big issue in the in the comic is this idea of redemption. If we're born into negative circumstances, born into the darkness, can we redeem ourselves? Can we pull ourselves out of it? Get into that light? So I guess that can connect somewhat with like issues of race and class, but it also just has this. There's going to be this general story arc of, I guess this is where the Macbeth influence comes in. Once people are in a negative situation or committing negative acts, what does it take to turn them around? Can they turn around and do something new? I mean, I think the quote, and I'm briefly paraphrasing here from Macbeth, is, "I've waded in this river of blood so far that to turn back would be as wearisome as keep on going." So essentially, like, to redeem myself is just as much difficult as it is to keep doing these awful things. And so that's a big kind of concern throughout this novel, or the graphic novel throughout the series itself, too. Sorry, I kind of just jumped in there.
No,
It's all good.
yeah, no. I mean, I'd rather you answer with descriptive detail than just saying, "Yeah, I like it too." You know. So looking at all the artwork and everything, this guy does amazing work. How did you connect with Juan Romero? Like, how did you guys meet and put this together?
It's Juan Romero, Romera. But essentially, I met with him, and I'm just actually quickly looking up the bookmark now. I met with him on a. It was just some website online. I actually, it was zwol.org. I don't know if you're supposed to pronounce it Z-Wall or whatever. But there's this forum where they just post artists looking for writers, writers looking for artists, colorists looking for artists, that type of stuff. And so I kind of just, for about a month or so, kept flipping back and forth, checking that website and seeing what people were offering. And there were definitely some cool artists, but I guess none of them were really matching the kind of the noir-ish aspect of this. I didn't see that they had that capability in their illustrations, whereas I saw some of the samples Juan had definitely matched that. And to make matters even better, he was relatively cheaper than most of the other artists. So, kind of long story short, yeah, we just kind of communicated a couple weeks. I got his email through that website, and then eventually we just decided on, running with it.
So how do you guys communicate based on like what needs to be drawn? How are people are looking? I mean, does he like do some rough drafts, send it to you, or you just have confidence in him that what he draws is good, and we keep moving on from that?
So I guess it starts first. I do kind of full script, almost Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman-esque style, where it's maybe more detailed than it should be. And so I send that to Juan, and I kind of in the script I just like paste like a drawing of the way I envision the layout. Even though I tell him definitely if he thinks it's going to work a better, a different way, follow your instincts. I kind of say that. So I send him the riff script that way. Then he sends me some of the like the thumbnails, some of the rough pages, and kind of from there, most of the time it's just me saying, "Wow, that looks better than I thought." Great, just now you're ready to ink it, that type of stuff. Every now and then I'll be like, "Oh, this is maybe a way I'd like to change this panel to have maybe like a closer up shot of this or whatever, or change this panel so that instead of having just this one character, we have maybe a couple." But most of the time, it's just he takes my script, improves on it, and I don't really have any feedback. Even though he does send me those roughs for feedback, most of the time I don't give him anything other than just looks great, keep doing it. Yeah, and I guess the last thing I could add is that I mentioned that I like put in the drawings and of the layouts and all that stuff, and I say that if he feels like it, should definitely follow a different layout that makes sense to him. And I would say that overall he mainly stuck with my layouts, which is definitely fine. But I think I just in the emails we've been sending this week about the second issue, I've been really re-stressing that point. Like, these are just suggestions. Really, 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 if you want to do something else, go for it. Because I think that just we're still finding our rhythm and all that stuff, and so I think that he was maybe a little too faithful or just too like into my vision for what the page and the comic looked like, and I kind of want it to be more of an equal melding of both of our instincts, both of our experiences.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna do all our communication on because he actually lives in
And so,
Argentina, so.
Oh, really? Yeah, you guys aren't having any board meetings anytime soon, then, are you?
No, not at all.
So when now looking through the comic and kind of like rereading it real quick again, um, is there a like a city that this is based out of? Is there like a time, like like a year or an era that this is supposed to represent? Like, is it current time? Is it like the '60s?
So we haven't
Like, is it
really
like
laid too many um, details or allusions to the city, but it is kind of set in Madison, Wisconsin. Um, as far as the era, it's pretty contemporary, although I kind of am setting it just a couple years back, just because I think with some of the twists and turns in the plot, it's a little bit easier to set it in an era where even though there is social media and all that stuff, it's not quite as dominant in our life and all that stuff. So I would say we're looking at early 2010s, but not quite where we're at right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I was just because when I was looking at it and without knowing like where it's taking place, what year it's taking place, I would assume somewhere like around like maybe like the '60s or '70s, just because it seems like it's like a more of an older vision or view of what the location looks like or what or what's being depicted. I just see something older, like not so much like the 2000s or '90s, maybe even the '70s or '80s.
Sure, yeah.
Um, but at the same
Well,
time, I mean, like maybe that's a good thing. Is like people can look at this and have their own thought and feeling about when it's happening and where it's located.
yeah, I mean, I think I in the first issue I said like I made one reference to a specific Madison, Wisconsin locale, but other than that, nothing really else. So I guess that's kind of been a struggle in my head. How generic, I guess, or general do I want it to be, or how more specific do I want it to be? And I think actually, as the series keeps going on, I'll probably actually layer in some more of those specific Madison Madison locations and just I guess the details about the setting and the time period. But I did really I think I was focused so much on trying to introduce characters, get the plot rolling, get themes stated, and all that stuff that kind of the setting, the time period in Madison kind of took a little back seat at that moment.
Gotcha. Out of curiosity, I noticed it's described as a black and white comic. I read through it. It is a black and white comic. Is that like a funding issue, or is that like intentionally done? Out of curiosity.
I would say there's a little bit of both. It's kind of
Gotcha.
started out as a funding issue, but I also, like I mentioned when I was looking at Juan's both black and white work and color work, I kind of gravitated more for this story towards his black and white work, just because again I think it had like the crime, thriller, noirish kind of aspects, kind of the heavy interplay between shadow and light that we really see a little clearer in black and white. Um, Definitely I think fits pretty well. So it's kind of a little bit of both. I guess long term, I do have a publisher that's interested in printing the graphic novels, the story arcs of this. So essentially each 6 issues they're interested in printing the story arcs, and I think kind of what's eventually going to happen. The idea I have, we'll see whether it becomes a reality or not, is that I'd actually color the present day scenes and then, or have Juan color the present day scenes, and then leave the past tense scenes in that black and white, so that we still have a little of that noirish
Yeah,
aspect, maybe with the color drawing a little more readers kind of thing.
that'd be fantastic.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
the big plan, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see whether it gets there. I'm just focused on issue 2 right now.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned it, but how many uh, were you planning on in the series, or
So
is that something determined?
in the outline I've created, it's planned to be 24 issues of 4 story arcs. So the first story arcs meet the family. Um, the rest of the story arcs, the names are kind of working titles right now, but they're titles like um, a little more than kin, a little less than kind, stuff like that. To
Okay.
that family aspect. Um, but yeah, so I have 24 issues, and it's essentially broken down into 4 story arcs of 6 issues each, and that's kind of where I see it. But obviously, I mean, anything could change. It could become, I need to make it a little bit more streamlined, a little more concise, so I might make it less issues. Maybe it really takes off and I realize I need more space, so I'll make it more. But that's right now kind of where I'm set at.
Okay.
Fantastic.
It's pretty ambitious for a first time publishing a comic, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Still, I mean that's just amazing. I've got a couple of friends and I we've been thinking about making some graphic novels for a long time now, and we've never quite taken the jump. And so this is it's really exciting to see you kind of doing this, because you're kind of living my dream right now. So it's
Yeah. Well,
so
hopefully.
and on top of that, you're covering a lot of the same issues that are really deeply important to me. So
Yeah, hopefully I inspire you and maybe some other listeners. I mean, like I said, I tossed around some ideas, thinking about making comics for 5-10 years. I actually wrote the script for a first issue for a different series called The Eye of the Beholder, and I had an artist that I met through a friend, actually, that we were working on that for a while, and then I actually hadn't really done that almost like anal retentive planning of 24 issues for the outline and all that stuff. I hadn't planned it out. I was kind of trying to do I'm just going to wing it and kind of see where it goes, and that did not work so well for me. So I kind of after that experience did not end so well for me, I took a little break, but then realized I got to come back and just learn my lessons. I know I'm not somebody who can do very well just by like I said, like improvising. I need that outline as a backbone. Even if I stray from it, I need it there to feel like a sense of comfort in and all that stuff. And so,
yeah.
It definitely, like, even just the failed first comic was a huge, valuable experience for me because it definitely paved the way for Rebirth of the Gangster.
That's usually how it goes, I think. So that's awesome. I'm really I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's so exciting. I mean, it's like I said, childhood dream. Sometimes I'm thinking more about this than I am about teaching, and maybe I shouldn't admit that, but that's the way it is.
There's plenty of lessons here that you can use to teach. So
yeah, exactly. I actually also am going to be teaching a graphic novel class next year. It's the first year that my school is offering it, so I also tend to think I'm doing a little research here so I can help the students next year.
perfect.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, when I originally, like, my whole plan was to go to college and become an English teacher myself, and obviously that failed because I don't go to college anymore. But originally the whole reason I wanted to be an English teacher is because I wanted to teach classes like creative writing or poetic forms and stuff like that to high schoolers. As it turned out, I hate grading homework.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's
well,
so
it's
annoying.
I know, right? It's like I want to go into a classroom, tell people, hey, write what you want to write, And the thing is, it's like, some people don't have the creative vision to create a good story, or they can't, get their words out accurately. And how do you sit there and give a kid a bad grade for something like that? That was that's the biggest problem I had.
Yeah, I would say with things like a literary analysis essay and stuff like that, it's a little bit easier to give kids a bad grade if they just aren't like clearly stating their points. But yeah, with that creative writing, when they've written memoirs or poems or whatever, yeah, that's always been the struggle where it's been like, I don't want to just shit all over your dreams and call you an awful writer.
Exactly.
But I also want to help you get better too, and so just always giving an A isn't going to help them necessarily get better sometimes. So yeah, that's a struggle. I don't really know. I haven't come up with a good answer. I'm not teaching creative writing right now. I taught it a couple years ago, and then kind of just every year our class schedule shifts, so it shifted away from that. So I essentially didn't come to a conclusion that semester, and haven't had to come back to that struggle really yet.
Yeah, it's just like yeah, it was just one of the things that like eventually just kind of turned me off from teaching. Originally, I wanted to do the creative writing poetic forms, and then I got away from that, and then I wanted to focus on like special ed. And after a while, I realized I hate being in class. After being a senior and everything, to do another 4 years, it just wasn't worth it to me. So everything worked out for the best. I think it's better that I'm not sitting there teaching the youth of the nation because they'd be fucked.
Sometimes I think that maybe I should have taken that detour too, but
But with you being a comic book creator, we actually I asked Joey and Colin a couple, I guess they could be comic related questions earlier, and I'd like to ask you them and kind of get your input on it if you're up for it.
Go for it.
Awesome. Did you go see the Deadpool movie?
I did, yes.
How did you feel about it?
I loved it. I mean, I think Ryan Reynolds is like perfect casting for that role. I think that they did a great job balancing or staying pretty true and faithful to the source material, and I guess partly making it rated R. I guess that's part of the way they stayed faithful. I also like that they didn't try. I think I read some article where like the studio wanted them to tell a linear story, and instead they really fought to kind of jump around in time and all that stuff. Um, and so I think I really liked it. I thought it was really cool. I guess I will flat out admit though, as far as most comic book fans go, I don't have a super like high bar for comic book movies. I know they're their own thing. I don't try to compare it too much to the source material and all that stuff. So I thought it was incredible, but I will again add that little disclaimer that I like most comic book movies, with maybe the exception of things like Green Lantern.
Perfect. Well, I guess the other question I wanted to ask is based on all the other comic book related Marvel DC movies that came out, uh, what superheroes do you feel should get their own movie, and what superheroes do you feel shouldn't get another movie?
Sure. So when you were saying what superheroes should, is that the heroes that have already had their movies, or is it also including any?
Well, I mean, it's the way you want to answer it. I mean, if you want like a superhero who's never had a movie but deserves one, or one that had a crappy movie and deserves a second chance, like Green Lantern.
Sure. I actually do think Green Lantern could be a very, very cool movie. I thought that if they had mainly focused just on Sinestro and Green Lantern and really focused just on that relationship, rather than Sinestro Green Lantern and oh, wow, now I'm forgetting Hector Hammond. What's his? I don't know his Hector Hammond. I can't remember his like supervillain name. But I felt they tried to jam too much into that movie, and I think that if they'd streamlined it a little bit, they could have done a good job with it. So I actually think I'd be interested in seeing a new version of that. I guess as far as Marvel goes, I mean, I think the big movie that I would love to see, even though I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen, is I would love to see a Miss Marvel or Kamala Khan movie. I realize she's a very very new character, but I think that one, it would open up a lot of new like audiences to Marvel movies, and just two, she's an incredible character, and she's, I think, yeah, just very very like my students that have read any of Miss Marvel, like they love it, and so I think she's a little more relatable and I guess contemporary in a way to most audiences that I've seen. So I think that'd be a really cool movie I'd like to see. As far as movies I might not like to see, or heroes I might not like to see in a sequel or anything like that. I mean, I guess I will, even though I said like I'm not a fan or purist. I'm not the biggest fan of Zack Snyder's take on Superman necessarily. Um, just I think it's a little too dark personally, and so I think I'd like to see not necessarily like no Justice League, but I am one of those people that I would like to see a different vision and take, just because I feel like Zack Snyder did his thing and melded it with Christopher Nolan's thing, but didn't really create something that meshed the DC universe as a whole, especially Superman.
Awesome. Good answers.
Yeah,
I
thanks.
like it. And the final question I want to ask you is with I guess the poor reviews that Batman vs Superman got. Do you believe that Suicide Squad will do better or help build DC back up from what was seen with Batman vs Superman?
Um, I I think that it will do better, at least like critically, and but not commercially, of course.
Hmm.
Um, I think part of the reason though for that is that most people don't have expectations too much going in for a Suicide Squad movie. I mean, even somebody like me who I've read a decent amount of Suicide Squad comics, I haven't read nearly as much of them as Batman or Superman comics, and so I come into the movie with a little less baggage, and so I think that it's kind of by that nature alone, it's gonna be I think it will just in general be um, just be more successful because of there's that less baggage, those less expectations for it to fall short of. I also just I mean, I've been hearing a lot of great stuff about who's playing Harley Quinn. Margot, whatever the actress is playing Harley Quinn. I've been hearing a lot of great things about her, and I think that's just a very cool character. We haven't really seen any of those types of characters in, I think, the comic book movies, really. So I think there's just something new there, and I think it's going to be kind of much like Deadpool because it was kind of new even though it's a superhero movie, it was a new take on a superhero movie. I think it's going to be a little bit more successful, and I think that might re-energize people again back into the DC universe movies.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. I can tell why you're an English teacher, man. You're so descriptive and use such good words.
Yeah, my students might think too descriptive, but yeah.
All right. Well, I do appreciate you coming on our show and talking with us and everything. You wanna tell our listeners where they can find your comic books or any other works that you have?
Sure. Yeah. So really, the first issue of Rebirth of the Gangster is on Amazon. You can get it on your Kindle. Right now, it's just a digital release. I'd mentioned that the graphic novels, I have publishers interested in printing the graphic novels. They just couldn't afford to do the individual issues. So for now, it's just Kindle individual digital release. Um, we had mentioned that it was available on a couple other sites before that. I briefly took them off Barnes and Noble, and this other site sells SELZ, just so that I could run that Kickstarter or that not Kickstarter, so I could run that Kindle direct promotion of the 5 free days. And so essentially, I think it's like a month or something. I have to have it off those platforms, but it'll be back on the Nook and back on Cells in about a month. So that's kind of where Rebirth of the Gangster is. You can also go to Kickstarter and find Rebirth of the Gangster. I've raised the $1,000, which was my goal, but there are 12 days left, and so I'd love to get more, and so that I don't necessarily need to do. It'd be nice to have all the funds both for the second issue and the third issue raised in this Kickstarter, so that Juan and I can really just focus on the script and creating the comic, because I'll tell you that I love every part of this process except for that Kickstarter process. I mean, I'm very, very grateful to fans, but if I could just jump right into the comic rather than have to wait the 30 days to see if I'm going to raise the funds or not, I would love to just jump right into the comic. So again, those are on Kickstarter. I mentioned also that I was a contributor to Slant. I think if you just go to slant.com, you should be able to find some CJ Standel, find my old articles. And then kind of the last thing is that people should feel free to follow me on Facebook, CJ Standel, or Twitter, CJ_Standel, just to keep updated on where they can find the second issue and any other things related to Rebirth of the Gangster or my company that I started, CJ Standel Productions, which is, if you go to cjstandelproductions.com, that's my main website. That's kind of where everything is centrally located.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, I do appreciate you coming on. Like I said before, it was great talking to you. It was great meeting the creator behind an awesome comic book. This is probably, like, in all honesty, it's probably the first comic book I've read in like years. Like, I'm just now kind of bouncing back into the whole like comic book like scene, going to comic book conventions, meeting creators and stuff there. So great book. A great comic. I'm excited to see the second one, the third one, all the way up to number 24.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad I could make my comic your gateway comic back into the industry, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to say again, just thank you guys. I actually didn't mention this, but this is my first podcast ever as CJ Standel. So not only do I really appreciate it in general, I specifically appreciate it for you guys, kind of breaking busting my podcast cherry. So thank you very much.
I hope we were gentle. You're a natural, dude. You're an excellent speaker.
Thank you. Yeah,
absolutely. We would love to have you
every day, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back on when the second comic's about ready to come out and everything. And that's one thing that sucks is like now that I finished the first one, I mean I gotta wait for the second one to come out, and I'm really excited for that to happen.
Yeah, I've had a couple people tell me that, and they're impatient. I'm impatient too. But yeah, I would love to come back, talk about the second issue when it's done.
Awesome. Perfect. Joey.
Yes, sir.
Every Thursday morning, the listeners could catch Joe here on this freaking show. Well, if our listeners need to get more, and that's the thing that bugs me about me talking for a minute. I hate that every time I talk, I want to say viewers on a podcast. I'm going to try that again without using the V. Joey.
Yes.
There we go. Every Thursday, our listeners can catch Geekcast Joe here on this freaking show. But where can they go if they need to get more?
If you need more Geekcast Joe, you can turn it into the Geekcast Live podcast at geekcastlivepodcast.com/podcast. Or if you don't want to type in that horrendously long web address, you can type in gcl.ninja. You can also find us on Facebook and on Twitter. And you can find our shows on SoundCloud at 11 a.m. Eastern Time every Saturday morning.
I like how it seems like that plug gets longer and longer as the weeks go on.
Right.
So it's not just me.
My co-hosts keep adding random things that we do. Like, before long, it's going to be Geekcast Live, first of its name, King of the Andals and the First Men, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
Anyway.
well, I'm waiting to get this freaking show on Google Play. I got to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
But until that happens, you can catch this freaking show on iTunes just by searching this freaking show. While you're there, leave us a 5-star rating and give us a review. Tell us why you love us. You can find us on our website, thisfreakinshow.com. You can go there, get in contact with us through Facebook or Twitter just by searching This Freaking Show. As always, I am Travesty.
I'm Awkward Colin.
And I'm Geekcast Joe.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of This Freaking Show. I'm out.